is the founder of Modern People and the Modern Day Women Movement. She has a strong passion for connecting organizations to their purpose and values in everyday life. Of course, having operated a national human resources company across Melbourne and Perth with more than 100 people, she understands the challenges that leaders face in aligning values and purpose in organizations while also maintaining peak performing teams. A career in the people industry for over 15 years has taken Jennifer further across the globe to consult and coach thousands of senior executives and leaders. She lives by the quote, "I believe success lies in taking a holistic view, embracing the mind, body, and soul in everything that we do." And you'll be able to see this through the presentation as well. Her personal mission in life is to inspire leaders to lead from the heart in the pursuit of work-life integration. She never stops cultivating this purpose through her own business, purpose projects, and community well-being events like Ecolux. Jennifer dedicates her personal time to her family, friends, and daughter, Vienna. She also studies Zen Buddhism in her own private time to practice nourishing her soul. So as you can see, she's very purpose-driven. I'm very excited about this A-Talk as well. I'm very excited about the whole presentation. So Jennifer, I'll let you take it over from here. We're excited to bring building your purposeful network to everyone.
Wow. Hello, what an introduction. Welcome. Thank you, Gaurav. And I just want to say before we start, thank you so much to the team at AIESEC. They are an incredibly well-oiled and passionate operation. So everyone I've dealt with from AIESEC so far has just been so purposeful, pardon the pun, but really engaged and really collaborative, really supportive. So I just want to say thank you so much to the team, because it's really quite evident how passionate you are about what you're doing, and yeah, congratulations. So thank you for having me. So building your purposeful network. So why this particular topic? So when my co-founder and I were sitting down and talking about, okay, well, what type of presentation could we deliver? We wanted something which was relevant to everybody, whether or not you're an individual, you're an employee of an organisation, whether or not you're a startup entrepreneur, whether or not you're a seasoned business owner and operated many companies in your career. We wanted to make something relevant. And what's more relevant than really being accountable to and developing and evolving the network around you? Because I often get asked the question, well, Jen, you've got this business, that business, you've had multiple companies, you've got a not-for-profit, and how do you do it all? I've got an 18-month-old daughter, I'm very close to my family, and how do you do this all? And the truth is that I don't do it all, and I don't do it all alone, because it's the people around me. It's the individuals, it's the networks that I have around me that support me to enable me to be able to live my purpose and live true to who I am and my values. And so we sat down and we thought, well, this is important, because we often don't take time to really, really reflect and understand, how we've got to where we've got. And who are those people that are integral on our journey, and what role do they actually play? So we have an activity throughout this presentation, which is around the 7 circles of influence. And that's really identifying who those individuals and organisations and networks of influence, who they are to you and what impact they have on your journey. So let's get started. So my main man, Gaurav, this is my sign. We didn't go to...
Awesome.
I'm very real, by the way. So if I was in a room with you, I'd get you all standing up, and we'd all do these activities, and we'd do some soul gazing, and we'd meditate, and we'd really connect to who we are, because that's what life's all about, right? Connection. So let's start here. Your business blueprint. Who are you? And a very, very interesting question. As a professional, I get asked a lot, well, Jen, who are you? What is it? What do you do? And it's a very interesting answer, because, well, who am I? Okay, great. I'm a people and culture expert. I'm a leadership coach. I'm an executive coach. Who am I? Those answers have no meaning unless you are connected to why you're doing what you're doing and what do you stand for. Because who you are, that response, I'm a people and culture expert, comes from the ego. It has no substance to it. It's a label that perhaps maybe I've given myself, maybe my colleagues have given me, maybe I've won an award, maybe the degree that I have has labelled me as an expert. But what does that actually mean? It's words, it's labels. And I find that when I speak to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and clients that we deal with, they focus so much on who they are being that label, being the professor, being the director, being the expert, being the coach, being the entrepreneur, that they spend so much time on that they don't allow themselves to really go deep to identify, well, what do they really stand for and why do they do what they do? And that's what we're going to go into today. So who are you? That label is meaningless. So I want you to take that away and not even think about that throughout this next hour. What I want you to connect to is, what do you stand for? So what are those guiding principles, those things that govern how you live your life and in turn how you run your business or your enterprise? Because your values are behind every decision that you make, whether it's conscious or unconscious. It's a fact. And why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? There is no such thing as your why, your purpose being different in your personal life and different in your professional life. I've seen many entrepreneurs do this over the years, and it's a shallow pursuit, because it's only so long you can hold up that facade, and then soon that comes crashing down. Because if you're one person in your personal life and one person in your professional life, and those two people don't align, which one's fake? And then how you'll do it. So how, in a business sense, is the strategy. It's the action plan. It's how. And one of the most crucial factors in this is that network that you have around you. Thanks, Gaurav. So let's start with a holistic view of your business. So we're going to use Modern People as the example here. So purpose, values, mission, and vision. So what is the difference between all of these areas? So purpose is the bold affirmation defining your reason for being in business. Why do you exist? At Modern People, we exist to help organisations and their people live true to their purpose. An interesting thing about this is a lot of organisations have a purpose around being the best. They want to be, our purpose is to be the market leader. Our purpose is to be the number one, to be the most respected. But as you'll see in the next activity, purpose is only truly authentic if it has a purpose bigger than yourself. If it's self-serving, then that's not true or not authentic purpose. So then a purpose statement is basically just elaborating on that. So how we do that at Modern People is we embrace principles that encompass the mind, heart, and the soul to transition organisations to a future where business is led from the heart. So that is the purpose statement. So then our values. Well, what are our guiding principles? What determines how we operate as a business? So for us, authenticity, so being fully transparent in all that we do and all of our actions, being impactful. We're also a social enterprise, which means that our commercial values, our social and our community impact values all have equal importance to us. Vision and being visionary, and that is for the organisations and individuals, the leaders that we deal with, it's to inspire them to embrace these philosophies and principles, to embrace purpose and values and contribution and impact. And finally, to be grounded. And this one's so important because particularly in times like this now, in the face of uncertainty, it is so important to really remain centered and grounded. Focus on those things in life that really matter. And I'm going to switch in between personal and professional because it's the same thing. For us, work-life integration is the way of the future, and that is part of our vision for the clients and the organisations and leaders that we deal with. So our mission, how will we achieve our purpose? Well, for us, it's via impact. So We have a social goal, which is in our first year to connect 100,000 people to their unique purpose. And our commercial goal is to work with and help 1,000 organisations or businesses to embed purpose in their culture. And then the vision. So the vision is the change in the world that you want to see. So when you're realising your purpose and you're staying true to your values and you're on your mission, what will that world look like? What is your dream? And for us, our dream is for every organisation and for every person in it to be living and breathing their purpose in everyday life. So purpose. So as a business or as a leader or as a startup, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, what is your purpose? Now, it's important to take a little time here to reflect on what your passions are and how this is different to purpose. Because one of the greatest misconceptions that I see is that we talk a lot about passion. What are you passionate about? You know, what is it? And passion is great. Every successful entrepreneur and business owner has a lot of passion. It's why they do what they do. However, true purpose is when you can combine that and find that beautiful sweet spot in the middle of where your talents, your passions, your rewards and your impact all intersect. That is true and authentic purpose. And purpose it's quite complex. You have your higher purpose, which is your authentic purpose, and then you have how you manifest or how you realize purpose in the different areas of your life. So this is actually a philosophy that originated from Ikigai. So that was a study that was done in 2007. A lot of you may have read the book by Hector Garcia, and a study that was done by psychologists around longevity in life. And some of the highest proportion of centenarians in the world, it's a blue zone. So they did a study on that. So what we did is we took the Ikigai philosophy, and with our positive psychology and our organizational psychologists, we adapted it to make it relevant for the business world, the commercial world that we're in. And how do we realize this in a business, as a leader, as a founder, as a startup? So understanding your talents. So the talents, we're all born with unique gifts, skills, if you like. So understanding what those skills are, understanding what your passions are, what the things are that you love. Because just because you're skillful at something, it doesn't necessarily mean you love it. And if you love to do something, you might not actually be very good at it. And so it's important to recognize that. For example, I see this a lot in the accounting profession, that they're extremely good with numbers and analysis and analytics, and they can get right into the bones of things. And sure, they're very great at it, but they don't really love it, but they just know that it's a skill that they're naturally born with. Their brain is wired in that way. But they might actually be passionate about climate change, about nature, the environment, about being more grounded and about nurturing our planet. So then you look at that and say, okay, well, yes, I'm talented and I've got gifts in accounting and analysis, but I'm passionate about nature. Then how do I then combine that to live a life that's true to that? So then you look and go, okay, well, how is it that I can impact the world? What can I do with that? Well, there's a lot of organisations that you can join, volunteer organisations around climate change, around environmental impact causes. There's hundreds of thousands of them worldwide. So you could go and do that and volunteer your time, and you could find that a very fulfilling part of your life. And for all intents and purposes, be very happy. But for us, the part that brings it all together and brings it into the commercial element is when we can combine that with how you'll be rewarded. Because whilst you can be rewarded intrinsically, so in terms of your fulfillment and meaning by joining a volunteer organisation or sitting on boards or creating or dedicating your time, donating money and resources to various volunteer and non-profit organisations, imagine if you could actually do it as your career. So imagine if you could use your accounting skills, you could use your passion for the environment, and to then go on and start a project or come up with a piece of tech which impacts climate change. How powerful is that? Because then you're not only rewarded intrinsically, you're actually getting paid for it. And that to us is authentic purpose. That is what we mean by work-life integration. It's when you can bring all of those areas together and you can turn it into a lifelong pursuit. Thanks, Gaurav. So we thought we'd use an example here of Telstra. Now, Telstra is Australia's telecommunications provider. So to give you a bit of context, Telstra employs 29,000 or just under 29,000 people within Australia. Their net profit is sitting at around 3 billion at the moment. So it's a very large organisation. We thought we'd use this because something that is traditionally very dry, it's very technical, it's very autocratic. It was a government, it is a partially government organisation. So from that perspective, it's quite clunky, but yet an organisation like Telstra can still embody purpose and values in everything they do. And in fact, one of our board members was consulted by them back in 2018 to work alongside the board and the chairman of Telstra to come up with their purpose. So Telstra sat down, and in this strategy session, he took them through, okay, well, what are we passionate about at Telstra? What are we good at? And ultimately, Telstra, those 29,000 individuals are just people. So when they say, what are we passionate about? It's what are those 29,000 people passionate about? And this is where an organisation of that size, they create focus groups, they go out and they survey, they do assessments, they get to the core of their people and what they're passionate about. What are they actually good at? And what impact do they want to make to the world? What contribution do Telstra want to make to the world? So they're all important things to factor into identifying and connecting to what that purpose is and the longevity of that. So then Telstra came up with this. We believe it is people that give purpose to our technology. So we are committed to staying close to our customers and providing them with the best experience and delivering the best tech on the best network. And notice that they use the word tech, not technology. And that's because they are talking to people. When you're talking, everybody has a mobile phone. Almost everybody has a mobile phone. We have internet, which Telstra is the main provider of, Wi-Fi and other telecommunication services. So they literally connect society and how we communicate. Throughout this pandemic, connection has become more important than ever. And an organisation like Telstra has such a big role in that. And then their purpose, because our purpose is to build a connected future so everyone can thrive. So even an organisation of that size, of that level of red tape, still recognises an importance, and the connection is to people. So what does purpose look like? We all love stats. Sometimes it's really interesting. My co-founder and I have different personality types and very complementary. And throughout this pandemic, for me, it's the faith, it's the intuition. And for her, she said, no, I just need a number to make me feel better. And it's true, because our society is conditioned to statistics and numbers, and that's how we measure success. That's how we measure impact. So it's so important. So let's look at what does this look like? So on an organisational level, it increases, and these are all proven, these are Gallup studies that have been brought together, imperative studies that we have collated to come up with these figures. Leadership effectiveness goes up by 63% in an organisation. Fulfilment goes up by 64%. Learning is twice as engaged. Engagement is 4 times more. Productivity is 5 times higher. And the average additional profit of a purpose-led culture is 9,000 per person per year. So that's incredible. And then on a personal level, we see greater levels of love and romance. Let's face it, who doesn't need more love and romance in their life? Better memory, cognition, better mood, contentment. There's a lot of talk around mental health and the importance of mental health. And especially during times like this, it is so important to really be aware of that. Longevity of life, as we know through Ikigai, an extra 7 years, and fulfilling relationships where you are actually connecting with another person. It doesn't matter what type of relationship that is, but getting a true sense of meaning and fulfillment from that relationship. Thanks, Gaurav. So living your purpose journey, what does this actually mean? So who are you surrounding yourself with? I want you to really think about this at the moment. A common challenge that we've seen in entrepreneurs and leaders, especially those with big dreams and aspirations to impact, is that they need to have the right people to join them and help them and support them. And in actual fact, when I was consulting in my previous company for 15 years, what I saw a lot of, and one of the catalysts for me to sell that organisation and start Modern People, was because I would just meet with countless entrepreneurs and leaders, and they would get to a point where they would be connected to what their purpose was, but they would burn out on the way. Or they'd get there and then they'd say, okay, well, right, we've got all these things that we thought we wanted. We're now number one. We're now highly profitable, lowest cost base. We're respected by our peers, by our colleagues. We've got all the recognition in the world, but now what? What's the meaning of life? And so for those entrepreneurs who burnt out on the way, it was just a soulless pursuit, because without the people around them to really support them and help them grow and to keep them accountable to their purpose and values, it just doesn't work. So the next activity we're going to go into is going to identify exactly what that is. So thanks, Gaurav. So what is a purposeful network? So it's the people in your life that will help you fulfill and live your purpose. But it's also important to remember this also includes the contingency network, because we are talking about individuals here, and individuals become sick, they become disengaged, they change, they evolve over time. So who will step in if someone is no longer available to you? Or if perhaps the person that you thought was the most integral in your journey, what if they pass away? And it's quite confronting to actually hear that and to think about that. But it's important to be realistic that they could, if they are the only person on this journey with you, and they are the one that is keeping you inspired and accountable and supporting you and challenging you, and they're no longer around, what will that actually mean? So think about it. Who are the people around you that support your parenting, support your partnership? Who monitors and analyzes your finances? Who strategizes and creates tangible goals with you? And who questions your decisions and challenges your ideas? Because just having people around you that are yes people, that say yes to everything, that never really push you outside your comfort zone, never challenge anything, that's a dangerous game. Because all it takes is for then on your journey as an entrepreneur or startup, your first client to come and with a breakthrough, a thought-provoking question that you haven't thought of before, and that can hugely affect your confidence, hugely affect the journey that you're on. So it's important to have people around you that not only support you, but that actually challenge you as well and question you. Because is your purpose and is your values, is it of a deeper level, a deeper meaning and understanding, or is it something that you've just come up with overnight and you say, oh yeah, this is the next shiny thing and I'm going to go and create this piece of tech because that I've seen that company do it and I can do it better, but where is it actually coming from? And have you got people around you that will ask those types of questions? Thanks, Gaurav. Okay, so first activity. So if you can, on one of your pieces of paper, draw 7 circles. Now make them quite large, like the model that you see on the screen, because we're going to write lots of names throughout this. So these are our 7 circles of influence. And these are essentially the 7 different networks around you that influence you on your purpose journey. So if you can start that now, and then in the middle it starts with you, then it goes to family, friendship, community, business, inspiration, and aspiration. And then you'll see there that there's that Y shape, and it's divided into 3 sections. And so at the top, I'd like you to put mind, and then at each side, body and heart. And remember to make it as big as you possibly can. So what I'd like you to do is to start with the 10 closest people in your life that you can think of. And you might want to write those 10 closest people, their names down the side of the page. So if you've got your circles in the middle of the page and you write the 10 people down the side, and then think of where they fit into those circles. Now, it's important to note that there might be a little bit of crossover here because, for example, in business, that could be your colleagues, or it could be business associations that you're part of. It could be part of your competitors that you've met at various business-related events. Other startup entrepreneurs that you've met as well, but you might have met them at business, but then now they become quite close friends of yours and you actually speak every other day or you speak on a regular basis. So they could actually be in 2 of those circles. But I want you to think about, if you, in a split second, had to think of, would you classify them as a colleague or as a friend? What would it be first? Who are they to you first? And then put them in that circle. Now, the reason that there is 3 sections is because I want you to take it another layer deeper. So we love to peel layers of onions. So take it another layer deeper and go, okay, well, does that person really influence my mind, the way I think, my thoughts, my concepts? Or do they influence my body, my physical self, or my heart? Now, when we think of body, the physical sense, that is instantly, it's fitness, sporting. So, for example, if you play a particular sport, a community-based sport, or you're part of a sporting organisation, or you're part of a sporting club of any type of hobby which is of physical exertion, well, then that will be close to, you'd put that in the body section because it's a physical exertion. Is there somebody that, and for example, it might be, you might have a friend that you might give them a call and it might be your running friend, and that person you exercise with. You might have met them at the gym, or you might have met them at soccer training or badminton, and they've also become a friend, but they're also a fitness person. So I want you to think of it this way. Is it the person that you would call if you were going through a personal crisis? Would you call that person more than if you were wanting to go for a run or going to play badminton or play soccer? Would you contact them and then put them into that section? Like, how deep is the relationship? Is the relationship more on a physical level, or is it more on a heartfelt level? So they are your confidant, they are the person that you would call. If you've just broken up with your partner or you've had a death in the family, would you call them? And now the difference between inspiration and aspiration. So inspiration is a motivational person, someone achievement-based, someone who will inspire you to take action now. So what we have with the first sections is we have family, friendship, community, and business. Now, they're people in your current network. So they're people in your volunteer organisations that you're a part of. They're part of your business. They're part of the gaming community that you speak to on a regular basis. But the inspiration people, you may or may not know them. They may be somebody on social media that you see, that you follow, that you think, yeah, every time I see their posts come up, it just makes me want to jump out of bed and just go and do an activity, run that race, be part of that group, go to that event, go to that cultural show, go to an art exhibition. Whenever I see that person, I think, yeah, wow, I need to do that. I need to do that. So it's inspiring you to take action now, to make a change or an area of growth in your life now. So it can be your coach. Do you have a business coach? Do you have a mentor that you check in with? Do you have a spiritual coach? Do you have just somebody who isn't officially a coach, but they've just been in your family for, well, they're in your family, but they've been in your life, an important part of your life for a long time. And so on your journey, you'll check in with them whenever you need advice. So almost like a parental figure, but they're not actually one of your parents. And then aspiration. So aspirational is a state of being. It's a person, it's somebody who is aspirational to you. They could be a celebrity, they could be a head of a large organisation, they could be an inventor, an entrepreneur, somebody maybe that you follow closely through the work that you do. Maybe the reason that you have started your invention or your startup, your enterprise, is because of this person. You might have listened, you might have read their books, listened to their podcasts. It could just be, it might not even be someone that's famous in a celebrity sense or well-known. It might not be a published author, but it might be somebody that you know of that is aspirational to you. So you look at their life and you think, wow, I would love to live that life. Maybe they're semi-retired at the age of 40 and they're living on a self-sustainable farm, and you think, wow, what a beautiful life. That's aspirational to me. One day, when I've finished in the daily grind of what I'm doing, I might like to lead that lifestyle. So I'll put them in the aspiration circle. Maybe I'm not ready for it now, but a lot of what they do, what they stand for, their values, is aspirational to me. So we're going to move on to the next slide, but I want you to keep this because this is the basis of our activities today, and we're going to keep adding to it. So the next few slides, we're just going to keep adding to this and really going deep. So start with the 10 closest people to you. Once you've got them in those 7 circles, I want you then to continue on and think of the next 10 people that you feel have an influence on you. So maybe it's not the person that you would call if you were going through a personal crisis, but it's someone you see often and someone that you does have an influence on how you feel. So your heart, how you feel, on your thoughts, on your mind, on your actions, or on your physical self. So I want you to think of, when we're thinking mind, body, heart, I want you to think of what stimulates your mind. What takes care of your body and what fills your heart. So this is a deep self-reflection exercise. So thinking of those people in the circles, who of those people stimulate your mind? Now you might have them in the body category at the moment or the heart category. And now thinking about it, you think, yeah, every time I speak to that person, we have really intellectual conversations that challenge my thought process, or they challenge my perspective. They might be a family member, but wow, every time we catch up, we speak on Zoom or the phone, or we see each other, wow, it's like a debate. It's a very healthy debate. So in actual fact, they might be a family member, you might have them close to the heart, but you think, no, that person really challenges me, so I'm going to move them up now to the mind. So I want you to really reflect on this. Of those people in those circles that you've got, who of those people stimulate your mind, and who of those people fill your heart? It's important to really understand the people, that sense of love and belonging. It's what is underneath everything that we do in life. And this is the personal, professional combining again, because ultimately, if you feel that you don't belong and you feel that you're yearning for a sense of acceptance and belonging, then that will slowly start to manifest itself in your professional life as well. and the actions that you take. 80% of our decision making is made in the subconscious. So you may not even be aware of it, but deep down, if you've felt that you've lived a life where you've never really been accepted and you've never really belonged, and then you're making all these decisions and you're acting on the fly and you're quite erratic with a lot of the things that you do and the situations that you're in, and you think to yourself, God, how did I get here? Maybe just stop and reflect on that. So now the next exercise, your purpose network for life. So what I want you to do now is in your 7 circles of influence, so hopefully you've got about 20 names in there at the moment. And you don't need to have a big friendship circle or a big family or a big community, because those inspiration and aspirational circles are not necessarily people that you know. Don't forget, it could be the CEO of a company that you aspire to work for, or somebody that you've seen a podcast, or you've listened to a podcast, or you've seen a show on TV, you've seen a documentary and gone, wow. So really think hard. You don't have to have a lot of physical people around you to fill up these circles. So I want you to now look at these people, these 20, maybe more individuals, and write center next to them if you feel that they center and calm you. Look at all those names. Who lifts you up? Who inspires you? And who challenges you? So I'd like you to, now there may be somebody who does both. So they might center and inspire you. And that's okay. Just write center and inspire next to them. You can do CE for center, CH for challenge, and then an L and an I. This is about reflecting on the people that are around you now. Because the first part to evolving, to transforming, is to take accountability of where you are now. And that's why this is so powerful, because this isn't necessarily where you're going to be. This is just taking accountability and realizing where you are now and who is around you now. So who of these people center you and calm you? Who lifts you up, encourages you, supports you, gives you that sense that you are worthy and you do belong? And who inspires you to take action, to get it done, to get moving, to get working, to get out there, get talking to people? Who inspires you and who challenges you? Thanks, Grav. Now, some of you may have seen a version of this model before. It's used quite commonly in leadership. And what we've done is we've taken it and we have disrupted it, and we have created a support and a challenge model around a purposeful existence. So for us, we encourage our leaders, entrepreneurs and organisations we work with to achieve a flow state of performance. Now, what I mean by that is we've come from decades of high performance, and then we move into peak performance when we have a project to deliver, when we have a deadline to meet, when we have an award to win, a submission, a tender. So we move into these stages of between high and peak performance. But then burnout occurs. And it's because there isn't that harmony between comfort and performance. And so we have created a model in which we believe the flow state exists in between comfort and empowerment. And by acknowledging and owning, being accountable to complacency, and acknowledging and owning stress and being accountable to that. So when you think of these people, when you look at, go back and have a look at your 7 circles of influence, I want you to think of, okay, so if somebody is highly supportive and then low challenge, meaning they don't challenge you, but they're highly supportive, they're generally the comfort people, right? They're like the people that, look, it might be your partner, your spouse, it could be a family member in your immediate family circle, it could be a friend that you've known since you've been in kindergarten together. And, you know, it's just a friend that, you know, when you're just feeling like, really down and just, I just don't feel myself. I just want to curl up on the couch, play video games, or watch movies, watch Netflix, eat a tub of ice cream. Who are those people that you do that with? You know, often you kind of sit on the couch with them, or you could sit somewhere with them and you don't even really have a conversation. But we need that. Sometimes our inner self just needs to be nurtured. We might have put our heart and our soul into a particular project, into a particular relationship, into a particular job, and it hasn't worked out. And so who do we go to for that comfort? Often you'll find that those people are highly empathetic. You feel secure when you're there, but they provide you with a sense of stability. So I want you to think of those people in your 7 circles which comfort you. And then I want you to think of those who empower you. So high support and high challenge. This is where we get to that peak performance. There's high growth, breakthrough barriers, could be a coach, could be a mentor, could be your leader at the office, could be your family, could be one of your parents, could be your uncle, could be your partner, your spouse, your husband, your wife. So who are those people? You know, the people, when you meet them, you just feel like, wow, I just want to just run through brick walls. I can do anything. Those people. Who are those people in your life, in those, and where have you placed them in the circle? It's another question. Then I want you to think of the people when you have the low challenge, low support. These are the people that just kind of exist in your life. Now, we all have them. And family is notorious for being in this quadrant of complacent. Because they're just the kind of people that, you know, you sort of can't choose your family, you're kind of stuck with them. So you attend certain family events and they're there. They never really ask you how you are. They don't really seem engaged in what you're doing. When you have reached a different achievement level, or you've graduated, or you've just landed that new job, or you've just landed that new client, they seem to not really care. They're disengaged. So they don't challenge you in any way, and they don't really support you in any way. They're just kind of there. They just exist. And I always think complacency, we all know we need to, sometimes we have those people around us, but where the empowerment comes from is how you choose to direct your time. Are you spending too much time around these types of people out of obligation? Because you may not be able to control your family members and the family you're born into, or you may not be able to control at the office the colleagues that you are just lumped in a team with to work with. But what you can control is how much of your energy you give them, how much of your focus you give them, how much of yourself you give them, and how much you take on board with what they give you. Because they don't have to talk to have an impact on you. The fact that they're disengaged and they really don't seem to care, that can have a really deep impact on how you're feeling, and that can eat away at self-confidence and self-worth. Because if you think they don't care, how can they not care about what I'm doing? I've got such great intentions, and this is such a great project or a great opportunity, and this is I've just landed this new client. How can they not care? And then you start trying people please. And then you have the people who are low support, so don't support you at all, and that do challenge you a lot. These are often maybe friends that you've had, maybe friends in the sporting arena, in the physical sense, maybe you went to school with them, maybe you went to uni with them, and they're like your arch rivals, your arch nemesis. So they're highly competitive. They're always challenging you, but when you need support or when you need something and you pick up the phone, they're not there. I like to call these people energy vampires. I've had a few of them in my life over time. They're the people that just, yes, want, and you're there, you say yes, of course, because you've got such pure intentions. And then when you're going through that life crisis, or when you just need to borrow something, or you just need advice, or you just need something picked up, they're nowhere to be found. Oh, sorry, oh, I was busy on this, oh, excuse. But whenever they need something, the world has to stop. So again, you might not be able to control how these people have come into your life, but what you can control is where you choose to direct your energy and your focus and your time. And do you really want to be surrounded by 1 or 10 energy vampires? If you're on your purposeful journey, you're wanting to make an impact, you're wanting to achieve, you're wanting to contribute, you're wanting to give back. How are you going to be able to do this if you've got these people in your life? Thanks, Gaurav. All right, so another little purpose diagnostic. So I want you to have a look at these circles and have a look. So does your network include people from all of these areas? So we've got love relationships, friendships, adventures. This could be, you could have obviously pre-pandemic when the world was traveling a lot. I'll never forget when I was 23, I went on my first Kentucky tour, and I'm still in contact with some of those people. It was amazing. It was like the life-changing thing I did all by myself, went to travel all through Europe. So that was a great adventure. Do these people support or come from environmental causes? Do they help you to see the bigger picture of what your footprint is having on the world? These people from health and fitness, do they stimulate intellectual conversation? Do they give you books to read, recommendations, new podcasts to listen to, new content, articles? Do they send you things? Have you got anyone like that? Maybe there's actually more. Maybe you can add another 10 people, because you think, oh, actually, you know what? My colleague from the next department, yeah, wow, he, or someone I went to uni with, I wouldn't really call him, like, I wouldn't really say he's a close friend, but in actual fact, he often just forwards me emails of things which are really quite interesting, which I'm interested, he knows what I'm interested in, and he just forwards me these emails. So maybe you might want to add that person. What about your spiritual life? The spiritual doesn't have to be religion. We all have a different spiritual journey. And how do you define that? And what does that mean to you? And have you included those people in there? Your creative life could be someone that you used to paint with, someone that you like to draw with. And then family and community. And who do you think of when you see each of these areas? And when was the last time you acknowledged that person? This is a very practical one. I want you to look at those people that you've perhaps forgotten about. And when was the last time that you actually acknowledged them? And by acknowledging them, it means saying thank you, reaching out, showing your appreciation, even just sending them a smiley face. It doesn't have to be a deep, deep connection, but just checking in to go, hey. We have a day in Australia called Are You OK Day, which was only last week. And it's exactly that. It's one day, it's a national, it's not a public holiday, but it's a day where the national government recognises that it's important to ask people around you, are you okay? And so we have a day to celebrate that. So when was the last time you asked any of these people, are you okay? So you're not reaching out to ask them for something, you're reaching out to check in on them. And how much time do you give to each of these areas on a weekly basis? It's important to say there's no right or wrong answer here. We're not saying that this needs to be perfectly balanced or that you need to have all of these different areas. Everybody is different. But I just want you to just open your mind to just think of other possibilities. And who do you support? Or who do you positively challenge in these areas? So it's not all about what they can do for you, it's about what you do for them. And having that two-way relationship. Thanks, Gaurav. So now we're going to talk a little bit about aligning values. So I want you to think of how connected are you to your company's values. Now, if you're in a startup and you've got your own business, you've got your own project, your own enterprise, you are your company. So your values are naturally your company values. So I want you to think about it from a slightly different angle. How connected are you to your own values, and how are you manifesting this in your own enterprise? Or if you do work for a larger company, organization, how connected are you to the company you're working for their values, or the organization you're volunteering at? Do you feel you are living true to your own values in the work that you are doing? And is there such a thing as aligning the two? Thanks, Gaurav. So the next activity is your personal values. So I want you to write down now, get a fresh piece of paper, and I want you to write down, these are all different values. And I want you to write down the 3 values that most align with you in one column, and then in the next column, the 2 values that least align with you. So you'll see there's a few opposites here. So for example, power. If you value power, you value money, status, acknowledgement, then universalism, either societal or nature, will be on the opposite side of that. Do you value hedonism, which is living a happy life, a really carefree, self-interested but happy life? You just like to have a lot of fun. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's no right or wrong in any of this. It's important to really acknowledge and understand what you value. Do you value security? Do you like the sense of being stable? And yes, security does mean financial security, but it also means security in the home, the family unit, the people around you. You're the type of person that you like to have the same friends, the same family, the same network around you, and that is your sense of security. And looking outside the box is a little frightening to you. Again, there's no right or wrong. Do you like conformity? Do you like structure? Do you like rules? Do you like a process, things to flow? Or benevolence, which is family and relationships to those close to you. Do you value benevolence? Do you value spending time with your family, spending time with your loved ones? It's one thing to say, yes, I value my family. Of course I value family, because that's just what society expects, right? So you just say it. But how are you actually demonstrating that? Does that mean that when you get a call from your mates to go and try the new bar or the new restaurant or go and play a game of soccer, but yet you skip a family dinner, or you skip time with your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, you skip time with them to go and do this? So are you really actually valuing benevolence then? Or is it just something that you say because you think it's what you should say? So what do these values really look like in everyday life? Self-direction. Do you like to come up with your own ideas, your own concepts? You like to be an innovator. Stimulation. Do you like to be stimulated by a lot of different things? You need the external stimulation. Often you're a highly extroverted person, or just an extroverted person if you like lots of stimulation. So 3 that most align with you and 2 that least. Thanks, Gaurav. Now I want to look at the values in business. So in the company you work for, or the startup that you've got, your enterprise, your own business. So could you list the values off the top of your head? Do you think of these values before every decision that you make in your business? So for example, if you value, or one of your values is integrity, so do you think about the right decision and the right choice before every decision that you make? Do you think about right or wrong? Do you think about being fully transparent? So if you value trust and that's written up on your wall, is that something that you are prepared to be fully open with and fully transparent with? Do you check back into these values? And did the company values impact your decision to join the organisation? Or how much did you really think about them when you came up with your business concept and plan? Because often we see misalignment. So for example, if you value universalism, nature, but yet you're working for an organisation which values achievement or power, then that's a direct misalignment. And we've seen that manifest into poor retention rates, conflict, absenteeism. In actual fact, we have a client who she's come to us for, now she's starting up a new venture, but she was working for an organisation which was very achievement focused and an international oil and gas company. And she was very senior in the supply chain ranks, was one of the executives and had worked there for a number of years and worked up to that position. And in the last few years, she decided to become a vegan. And then that took another turn and she decided then to go and volunteer and work with animals. And then last year, at one of the meetings, she decided to just voice her opinion on Melbourne Cup. Now, for those of you around the world, Melbourne Cup is Australia's biggest horse race. Happens once a year. It's a public holiday in the whole country, and it's an age-old tradition. And she decided to just send out a few emails to some people within her team and groups just about Melbourne Cup and the inhumanity to animals. And she was warned by her executive team that wouldn't be tolerated. And then a week later, she was let go. She was terminated. Now, she took that to the tribunal and she won a case for unfair dismissal. But ultimately, what happened was a values misalignment. Because it was great working for the company when she was on the achievement and the power and that ladder. But then when she had a life change and she decided to move into a different direction, that company no longer aligned with her. And so it was time to move on. So I want you to think about that. Do you feel there is an alignment to your own values? Thanks, Gaurav. So your purpose action plan. This is probably one of the most important takeaways today, because we love a plan, we like to put things into action because it's not really real until it happens, and you need to make this happen. So I want you to reflect on all of your influence circles. So who are the most influential people in those 7 circles of influence? I want you to be really accountable to this. I want you to identify the gaps in your current networks. So what do you see more of? Do you see there's more in the family and the friendship circles and the business circles, and there isn't really anybody in the community circles? There's a couple of people in inspiration and not really anyone in aspiration? So it'll never be truly equal, but we like a harmony between them all. So now having a look and seeing where the gaps are, which community or business groups, networking groups, organisations, coaches, mentors, who can you reach out to? Where do you see there's a gap? Do you feel you need some learning or development in a different area? Maybe you've let go of the physical self and nutrition and fitness. Maybe it's more spiritual growth, or maybe it's more mental growth. Maybe you feel like you want to learn a new skill. Maybe you feel like you really need to engage more, connect more. You feel like you need to learn some communication or innovation. Maybe your creativity feels stifled and you'd love to learn some skills on how to unlock that creative consciousness and how to really innovate, particularly if you're a startup and you're in the innovation space and you're just working in the day-to-day and it's all very fast-paced and very busy and full. Maybe you need to create some time and some space to really unlock that creativity, the reason that you started it in the first place. So the next activities, I want you to identify in that inspirational circle, who can you actually reach out to? So it could be the CEO of a company that you'd love to work for. It could be an author of a book that you've read, or you've read multiple books. So who in your inspirational circle is it very realistic that you can actually reach out to? And I want you to do that. That's not the challenge, because that's easy. You already know who they are. They're in your network. But the real challenge, and what I'd like to leave you with today, is I want you to choose one person from your aspirational circle. So the aspirational circle, don't forget, they're the people, they might be a celebrity, they might be someone you follow on social media, it could be somebody that you've read their books, but they're overseas, they're in a completely different country, so they're not part of your network. There's somebody completely out of, well, seemingly out of your reach, and I want you to contact them. And there's a reason why. In my aspirational circle was that a gentleman by the name of Zach Mercurio, and he wrote the book, The Invisible Leader, which I read many, many times. And when I started Modern People, I reached out to him via LinkedIn, and I sent him a note saying, Zach, he's a professor from the Colorado State University. He was one of the first people decades ago to work with companies like Hewlett-Packard, Ben & Jerry's, to really embed purpose and meaning into the workplace. He speaks on the same circuits as Brené Brown. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn and I said, Zach, I've read your book a million times. I just want you to know that you have been instrumental in me starting Modern People and rebranding and selling my previous company that I had to disrupt my own mindset and my own state of being, so I can then continue to inspire other entrepreneurs to do the same. Because who says at the age of almost 40 you can't just start a new company? Who says it's just for 21-year-olds? And I just want you to know how important you were on that journey, and I want to thank you for the work you're doing and that you really matter. And I thought I was going to get a reply by one of his many interns, staff members, you know, guys like him have whole teams around them. And I thought I'd get, and I got a reply back from him within a day, within 24 hours. And he said, Jen, thank you. You've made my week. I would love to learn more about you and Modern People. And he is now one of our board members. And we catch up on almost a weekly basis. And all the clients that we work with, Zach's in the background. And yet he was one of those aspirational figures to me. He was one of those guys that I never would have thought in a million years would even reply to me, let alone now actually have an active part in Modern People's journey. So it is possible. Anything is possible. And that's why I want you to challenge yourself and reach out to one of those aspirational people. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Gaurav, and thank you, the team. I hope that you have found this transformational, and I hope you've had revelations in there, and it's okay if you haven't, because these things take time. And sometimes going away and sitting in reflection, maybe in a week, in 2 weeks, you may really, really then understand and unpack what you're doing today. I went on a silent retreat many, many years ago, and I remember at the time feeling so pushed outside my comfort zone. I didn't really feel like it had any impact, and it was about 2 weeks later, it just hit me, and I thought, wow, yes, now it all started coming back to me, and I was having transformational moments. But at the time, it was just so much. I had to unpack so much in my brain, and then to get to that resolve. So it may not happen today, but I hope it does. Thanks, Gaurav.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was amazing. I was really, really inspired, just going through the whole presentation myself. And I told Jennifer this through the dry run as well. Just really understanding what your purpose is, and going through like the activities makes you understand that you're really defined by the people that you surround yourself with. And it's very, very important to understand, like, we may have it in the back of our mind, but it's very important to understand who those people are as well. So Jennifer, thank you again so much, for being a part of our first regional A-Talk. If you do want to connect with Jennifer, of course, this is her LinkedIn, this is the Instagram of the company and the website as well. On the website, however, there is a free 10-hour self-paced learning course called Connect to Your Purpose. And you're more than welcome to visit the website www.modernpeople.com.au to take it. If you're interested in understanding your purpose on a deeper level, Jennifer does conduct the startup business coaching and the executive coaching as well. So, of course, you can reach her through the website as well. And for the last couple of things, we'd love some feedback from you. There is a poll that you can answer on Zoom as well. So Stefan, if you could help us go through the poll. Just 3 really quick questions on how you kind of felt about the event altogether. If you do want to give more detailed feedback, of course, the feedback forms link is on the screen. So bit.ly/AAAP. So that's 3 A's, P, feedback. And you're more than welcome to go on that and leave any additional feedback that you want to as well. Stefan, just give me a thumbs up when we're done with the polling. Yeah, we're done with the polling. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, so one last thing before everyone goes and does whatever they need to. The next regional A-Talk is on 18th October. We'd love to see all of you guys there. Of course, you'll get to know more about it through, Facebook channels, WhatsApp groups, emails, all that kind of stuff. But do look out for it if you enjoyed this one. And again, lastly, I'd like to thank the team, Stefan, David, and Elise as well. And one more thank you to Jennifer and her colleague, Annie, as well, for helping put everything together.
Thank you so much.
That's about it from our side. I'll leave this Zoom link, open for another 5-10 minutes if anyone wants to hang around to chat.
Can you put the links back for her LinkedIn addresses?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stefan will put the LinkedIn links for David and my profile as well, and our emails too, in the Zoom chat. If any of you want to connect with us, because we're always looking, as David mentioned earlier, we're always looking for people to join the team. We're always looking for introduction to new speakers that you think might be very helpful for the alumni community. And third thing I blanked out, but that's okay. We're looking for people to join the team, for the speakers, introduction to speakers as well. And, oh yes, and of course, suggestions on topics that you'd want to hear and you think are beneficial for the alumni community.
Will there be a playback of the recording?
That's a very good question. So everyone will receive a link to the recording through email, because you signed up for your email through Eventbrite. So we'll do that, and everyone should have access to that. So if there are any questions in the chat, I cannot read them. So because I'm screen sharing. So it'd be best if you guys could just turn your mics off and ask any more questions if you have any.
Can I ask one question of Jennifer?
Sure. Yeah, amazing.
So Jennifer, I've just sent you a text message in the chat, by the way, saying that I put you in my inspirational section. So expect me to reach out to you soon. But the question I had was, when you're identifying the people that influence you, so those characters for inspiration or whatever, is it okay that they're not living? It might seem like a funny question, but some of the people, when I've made my list, I mean, there are some people that really do inspire me all the time, and they're not alive.
Yes.
Can I still stick him in those lists?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll find that they'll be mostly in the inspirational aspiration, like Mother Teresa is a wonderful aspirational figure. Maya Angelou is an aspirational figure, how those individuals live their lives and and it doesn't mean that you want to become what they were, but it's parts of their life, their beliefs, and how they manifest certain things in their life that absolutely are aspirational to you in living your life and realizing your purpose. So I think, the answer is yes, absolutely. And I think it's important that there are individuals who are no longer here that are in those circles. Because even in the family circle, somebody who's passed, it's very important because the lessons that they taught you when they were alive, they're still relevant and impactful in your life now. And I think one of the really sad things is that we forget about that. We just, when they leave, it's almost that knowledge and that advice is not something that we think about often enough. And in actual fact, that's where a lot of our challenges stem from, is not connecting back into that which was a part of us. So yes, great question.
Could I ask a question about trust?
Yes.
Because trust really is central often to my relationships with people. I have a lot of people that I aspire to or inspire me, aspirational, but do I trust them? And sometimes I prefer to really have trust in the people that I'm dealing with versus being outside of my comfort level or circle of trust. Do you have any comments on trust?
Look, I think trust is a foundation to inspirational aspiration, because if you don't trust that individual is genuine, then why are they aspirational to you? What is it about what they're doing, the life they're leading and their state of being, that you aspire to be if they're not trustworthy? So there's got to be that element of trust as a foundation. And of course, without that personal connection, it's just your judgment on how authentic they are or how transparent they are. Do they live true to really their teachings, to their learnings, to their philosophies? And I guess that's a journey for you then to go deeper, to read more about them, to listen to more, to research more, if they are truly aspirational to you. Because without trust, there's no meaning, there's no substance. So you need that trust, and it's just something that will build on. So you'll have a basic level of trust, a foundation trust, we call it, but then you build on that the more you look, and then the more, like, there has been individuals more in the inspiration side of things, which is maybe more around the mind or the body, which I have found hugely inspiring to act now. And I think, gosh, I've got to get up and I've got to do more. And then I found out later that they weren't really who they said they were. So it was a fallacy. So then, of course, we take them out. They're no longer in that circle. So
it's very, very interesting in terms of social media and the projection of people, and they often, I feel, channel down particular routes and become quite narrow. And sometimes, we have often a broad life, so sometimes you find it difficult to you know, continuously be involved with people who focus in very narrowly on what life means and things like that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.
Awesome. If there are no more questions, if there are any more questions, I'll leave it on for another 30, 40 seconds. So if anyone has any questions, please unmute yourself and ask away.
May I have a questions?
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Hello.
to Jennifer, thank you. Hello. I really impressed with your charts of evaluate your support and challenge ratios. Because I think it's a very good way to really review my network and see who really support me and who really doesn't play a very important part in my life. But after I have a reflection on this, I'm curious that whether you have any advice on strategy in order to take care of the relationship who support you and who in the ratio of high support and high challenge, because because when everything plays on the table, right, we know who support us, and then we also does a proper investment to those people as well in order to get a support back. And I think it's quite challenging for me because many relationship is there and you have limited resources as well, and what can be a strategy to take care of them, and I may want to hear your wisdom on this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. The most valuable resource we all have in the world is time. And if you, first of all, asking them how you can support them. So reaching out and asking and saying, first of all, just thanking them for being there, and then asking them how you can support them and spending time with them, because that really is, you know, and whether or not that if they're in person or via Zoom, via phone, just really being there for them. And in the same way that they are for you, but I always ask them, just say, and let them know that how meaningful to your life they are, because it's something that we just don't do enough of, because we take these people for granted. You know, we're all guilty of it, because they're the people that are always there and they always support us and encourage us, and we do the same. But really, when was the last time that we actually just stopped and said, I just want to call and let you know how much you mean to me and how important you are in my life and on my journey. And I want to thank you, and I just want to know how I can support you. Is there anything I can do for you? Because we often just don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of, absolutely, of course it is. We're talking about really strong personal relationships, but I often find that sometimes I'll just, even to my husband, you know, who I see day in and day out, and I just think, oh, some days and some moments I just stop and I look at him and I just say, thank you. I'll go, what for? Just thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. And, you know, it's almost because we don't do it enough. It's almost, well, why? You know, your question me, so why? Do you want something? Do you need something? Or why are you thanking me? It must be like something. And no, absolutely not. I just want to let you know that I'm so grateful to have you. And then it just changes the energy, changes the moment. You know, even especially in a business sense, in a work sense as well, we don't often get very emotional at work because it's almost a sign of weakness, right? But I'll often just ask the girls that are here when they come in, and I'll just say, hey, you know, I just wanted to let you know how important you are to the team. And that piece of work that you did last week, if I didn't have that, then we wouldn't have delivered on time, and the client wouldn't have received this learning. And thank you. And, you know, you see them almost stand back and you think, oh, wow, okay. But you instantly, you can feel the energy. You can feel how grateful they are that you've acknowledge them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, great. We will have to wrap this up over here. Thank you to everyone who's still on the call. Thank you to everyone who participated. Again, big thank you to the team and to Jennifer and Annie as well. Yeah, have a good rest of the weekend, whatever's left from wherever you are.
Thanks
Thank
very
you so much, Jennifer. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gaurav.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
No problem. So am I able to get a copy of the recording as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
it up
you
and share.
all.
Thanks.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Gorgeous. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Hello.
What happened? The chair is
Hey, turn around to your parents and tell them how much you love them.
a lot.
And now, say,
9.9.10.
Almost 100. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for coming. Bye.
Bye.